So as we are talking about this theater, so what I read here, it's that it's called also Moreno Theater, Bottom Place, right?
Yes.
So, but you said that you wanted me to tell something else, something more.
Well, I do.
What's that?
I want to speak about Claire a little bit. Claire was a psychologist, a social psychologist. And she came out of the Catholic worker movement. And the Catholic worker movement was based on the works of Dorothy Day, who was Claire's self-chosen godmother. So when Claire bought this building, she had a vision that psychodrama and action methods could be used to heal the whole community. So she started many different projects here. For example, she started training people in mediation.
Mm-hmm.
And Sullivan Ulster mediation came from her teachings here. And her teachings were based on the encounter, of course. Yeah. She had a Native American group here who met. She had a group called CLASP, which was the Coalition of Latin American something that met to discuss the problems in Latin America.
Mm-hmm.
She ran sociodrama workshops. Her idea was that she wanted to bring people in. She also started a program in shared housing. And what it did was it matched elderly people who had homes with the younger people who needed homes, so that the younger people could help the older people. She did that in conjunction with a woman named Sister Adrienne Hofstetter, who is a Catholic sister. There were a lot of things that she did. She was very concerned with the environment, and there's a labyrinth on the other side of this building.
Mm-hmm.
That's a history of the plant life, starting with the oldest plants known to the most current plants known. So this space was also used for the local Waldorf school. The Rudolf Steiner School used to use it to do their plays. It was used for a daycare center. It was used for a summer camp program that included role-playing with youth. So it's been used for many, many things. It also is where community playback theater has its monthly performance, and where the Hudson Valley chapter of the American Society of Group Psychotherapy and Psychodrama have their monthly open public psychodrama sessions.
By the way, that is the program here. One can see Friday, public psychodrama at 7:30 p.m. Right?
On the third Friday.
On the third Friday.
And on the first Friday is playback theater.
Mm-hmm.
And then twice a week there's swing dance lessons. And on the last Thursday they do something called a Gong bath, which is a sound bath with gongs. So there's all sorts of healing activities, political action. Claire was very involved with political action. After 9/11 happened, 9/11 happened on a Tuesday. A week and a half later, we had our open session. We didn't do a psychodrama. Claire and I both directed sociodramas. They were very, very powerful. We were swamped with people. After 9/11, a lot of people went to church or mosques or synagogues or temples of some sort.
Mm-hmm.
For people who were not affiliated, where were they going to go to find community? They came here. And that Friday night, we were packed. We must have had 60 people in this building. Usually we have 20 to 30. And we did two sociodramatic pieces. It was very powerful for people, and people said this felt like church at the end. We were all standing holding hands, and it felt like such an important gathering of the community after this terrible, terrible terroristic attack and tragedy.
Mm-hmm.
After the United States invaded Iraq, which distressed many of us. There were many people in this community who were very opposed to us going into Iraq. Jonathan Fox was doing the open session. He said to me, "Do you want me to do a psychodrama or a sociodrama?" I was president of the local chapter at that time, and I said, "I think we need to ask the group." the group totally wanted to do a sociodrama. And I'll never forget, we did a lot of things that night, but one of the things Jonathan had us do is he had us identify the different roles here in the United States and the different roles of people in Iraq. And then he had the people who were in the United States, we threw bombs at the people in Iraq using scarves. And they flew across the stage and landed on the people in the role of the Iraqis. He then invited the Iraqis to reciprocate.
Mm-hmm.
And we saw how much fiercer the Iraqis were after having been attacked. It was quite a message that if you attack people, they're going to attack back even more so.
Mm-hmm.
And what has happened?
Yeah.
You know, so there were some very powerful things that came. Another sociodrama that I remember directing on this stage, I don't know whether I was directing it or I was a participant because it all blurs in, was people wrapping themselves in the American flag. And what did that mean? And for some people, and this was all done sociodramatically, it wasn't personal. You know, sociodrama is very personal, but some people felt that the American flag was a symbol of protection. And many of us who had lived through the 60s and 70s saw the American flag as a symbol of belligerence and bullying. So it was quite an eye-opener for people to understand the other person's perspective on this. And it all happened on that stage. So the stage being here, although it's primarily used for psychodrama training of therapists, is also really used for a lot of community activity that addresses common concerns and social issues.
Yeah. Well, why don't we just move and then we are talking about something that we rather show it. Well, let me see. Well, now I get in and here we are. Well, there is a cat here.
You need to get out. You need to get out. Go.
Yeah.
Out.
You are not welcome. So we don't have psychodrama for cats and dogs yet, right?
No.
It's just for people. Okay, so let's take a break here. What are you doing there?
I'm just looking down at an empty chair from a different perspective.
And how are you feeling?
A little excited and a little calm.
Mm-hmm.
This is a really important perspective. And this is the only place that I've ever directed psychodramas that have had a balcony. And may I share some stories about how this space has been used?
You can do whatever you think it's appropriate. Let me just take the camera in my hand.
I'm going to be the balcony.
Huh?
I'm going to become the balcony.
You are the balcony.
I am the balcony.
Uh-huh.
And when people come up here to me, they get a whole different perspective on their lives. So there have been psychodramas where somebody is so twisted up in knots, they can't figure out how to be more spontaneous in the role, and they get stuck, and bringing them up here gives them a whole new perspective and unleashes some of their natural spontaneity. Obviously, people come up here to play God, or the Godhead, or the Goddess, frequently. After 9/11,
Are you still the balcony?
I'm still the balcony. I'm remembering back to 9/11 when people stood on me and wore the Twin Towers. So I can be used for all sorts of things. And I've been a place where children can listen to their parents' conversations. I've been a place where parents can listen to their children's conversations. So I can be used for all sorts of different perspectives.
Let me ask you something. Can you now leave the role of balcony and be yourself and look at the balcony you were being? How are you feeling?
I'm feeling very grateful.
Yeah? As Rebecca.
As Rebecca, I feel very grateful to you, balcony. You've really helped me be a better director. You've given me the options to be very creative and to help support my protagonist's creativity. Because you're here, you're present, and they can use you. And they can come up and stand on you and look down at their lives and have, well, she could do something totally different. And then they run down and try something totally different. And yes, we can use space. We could have them stand in front of the kitchen and do the same thing. But there's something about being up above that really changes things. So I really appreciate you. I also appreciate you because when we do sociometric choice and there's a big group and there's lots of hands and it's really hard to tell who's the center, someone can come up here and look down and see the formation, the sociogram that's on the stage and figure that out much more easily. Sometimes I'll stand on a chair if I don't have a balcony, but it's a lot easier when I'm with you. A lot easier when I'm with you. I feel very lucky to be able to have you here when I'm directing dramas.
So, what do you want to do next?
I want to hug the balcony. But I will tell you, these metal bars are a little cold in this cold June morning.
It's cold.
It's cold. I'll come down now.
I wait here. There is an empty chair here. What do we do about that?
Well, I think Moreno's in the empty chair right now. There's your picture. Your wonderful wife. You know what? That's better. That's Zerka. Because I never knew you, except through your writings. But I did know you. Although you were not one of my teachers, you were a tremendous supporter and confidant for me. And you guys built this stage. Well, you built the stage, Moreno. And you, Zerka, made psychodrama so much more accessible. I remember the last time Zerka directed on this stage, she had already moved down to Virginia, and she was directing people in her living room, but she wasn't running a very active training program anymore. We had started something here called the Moreno Seminars. And it was really because Judy Swallow and myself really needed a place where we could be group members and not be directors. We had role fatigue. And so we started inviting master teachers like Anne Hale, Dorothy Morton-Staton, Jonathan Fox, Liz White, people like that to come, people that we wanted to train with, essentially. And we ran a training group, and you had to be at a certain level because we wanted our peers in the group, not people who were new students.
Senior people.
Senior people. So the first time we did it with Anne Hale, it was limited to people who were certified or had at least 600 hours of training. Because we wanted to be in a place where we could do our own work, you know. So I got a phone call from Jeannie Berger, who was a friend of Zerka's, saying, Zerka wanted to know if she could be invited to do a Moreno seminar. But are you kidding? So, of course, Zerka came. And I think we had like 25 people in this room. And Zerka directed, and she couldn't get up and down off the stage. So she would pull a chair and sit right here and direct from right here. And it was fine. You know. I think that's when I asked her why she used to stay so close to her protagonists. You know, Zerka used to direct very close to her protagonists. And she said, because I can't hear. So, meanwhile, thousands of psychodramatists have been trained thinking you're supposed to stand really close to your protagonist because they were imitating our queen. And it was just because she couldn't hear. So, you know, that was a funny story. So there's been a lot of incredible work on that stage. Even, you know, it's only been here 30 years, so it was in Beacon for about 50 years.
Well, but then, so we are back to where we were, and you were using the two empty chairs to remember Zerka
and Dr. Moreno.
And Dr. Moreno.
Yeah.
Now, what's next?
I don't know what's next, Sergio.
So let's see what could come. For instance, now it's 10:30 a.m. What about time, Rebecca? Is time something that you would like to work or not? What about this? What is this?
This brown line?
Yes.
This brown line is, as far as I understand, represents that bottom level of the stage. Now, I do know that it was twice the depth of the top two levels, because Moreno felt that was the biggest challenge, was to make that step up to the level to say, yes, I want to work.
Yeah. And then, for instance, we could sit here when we reached the first level. We could sit here and to interview if the protagonist is willing to come. We could sit here and to be at the same level as the protagonist.
Yes.
So, and then...
Now, if you notice, it seems to me that that stage's bottom level is wider than this one. I actually think that this is not an actual representation of that line. I think because of the narrowness of this room, if you look here, you see, it couldn't be any wider than that. And so they kept that all the way around the stage. But if you look at the picture, it looks to me like it's wider than that it was really room enough to put a chair. And I remember seeing photographs of people sitting in chairs around the stage.
Well, you know, we can check that because with the, I think I showed you yesterday,
The blueprints.
The blueprints
Yes.
that Zerka gave me. We have all the measures so that we can show and compare. Let me get back to my position. And here we have actually, when it was put here, so what you said was that they cut this in half.
Yeah, you can almost see it.
Yes.
You see the white, the lighter.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
The chairs on either side.
Absolutely.
That was the.
And then we have different parts. I think that we have 14 parts here. As this one I'm showing here, we have 7 from one side and 7 from the other side. So we have 14 at this level here. We have 14 pieces. And then
Same as below.
At this level also the same.
Yeah.
The same. So when someone goes there, it's action, right? Where the chairs are.
Yes.
So
sometimes people will say that's your psychic space, right? That's taking what's inside your head and putting it on the stage.
Yeah. Yesterday, when I came, you, at a certain point, you put the empty chair there. Why?
Because I abhor a vacuum. I don't know why. Because it's a stage, and when I see an empty stage, I think, oh, it needs a chair, because I'm a psychodramatist. You know, and we don't always use chairs, right? Sometimes we just have an empty stage and we say, what do you imagine? But I think for me a little bit of it was about Moreno, and I needed something to represent him, and an empty chair seems like a good way to represent Moreno.
Him. And here we have actually the 2 empty chairs, Moreno and Zerka. I put Moreno before because he came first. No? 1889 versus 1917 in the case of Zerka. Well, the lights
Want to see the lights?
Well, the lights, different colors are still available. Yeah, so you can, so you are still using these visual effects?
At times, not always. Sometimes, you know, it's a little bit like we sometimes use music. Not always. But we have the capacity to use lights and to use, we don't do it all the time.
Yeah. And of course, we have a different view when you put lights on it. What else can we... What's that?
That's the air conditioning intake vent. Or out. Some of them are in, some of them are out. It's for air conditioning and heat. And I don't think that was so there.
Okay.
What you might want to know is that underneath this line is a creek called Black Creek. Remember I showed you where I went kayaking?
Yes.
That's Black Creek. And this is a piece of Black Creek. It runs underneath the property here.
So there is a river.
Yeah, a stream.
A stream.
So people sometimes use that. They'll say, okay, I'm taking my anxiety and I'm going to dump it into the river and let it be transformed. Or they might, often at the end of a psychodrama weekend, we'll do a ritual of goodbye. What are you leaving behind? What are you taking with you? What's something you're leaving behind? And someone might say, I'm leaving my fear of connecting with people. Great, put it into the river.
Mm-hmm.
And what is it you're taking out of the river? The purpose of the stage, of course, it's been written about, and people can use the stage in many ways. The lovely thing about this space is we also have this space.
Yes.
So, for example, when dealing with someone who's been abusive, they can be on the stage with their auxiliary supports, and the person who is the perpetrator can be all the way over here.
Mm-hmm.
So the protagonist gets their space. That's theirs.
Yeah.
And we can use this space to create some helpful distance.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the protagonist. I like to think of it as this is their psychic space. It's what's inside their head. We put it on the stage.
Mm-hmm. Now, if we go back to the river there and to the scene that you were showing me, can you, do you feel some anxiety or now that could justify you doing the scene or not? It was just for demonstration.
Just a demonstration.
You are not anxious about anything at this point in time.
I'm quite anxious about Trump signing taking us out of the Paris climate accord. I'm very anxious about a lot of stuff, Sergio, but it's all political right now. It's not personal, it's more about what's happening in our country and in the world because of Trump. I'm very worried about that.
And what can you do psychodramatically with that anxiety that you have? Can you, for instance, use that example that you gave me to drop that?
I don't want to get rid of that anxiety. That anxiety is going to be energy for me to do social and political action.
Mm-hmm.
So what I can do is take from the river.
Can you do that?
Yeah, I'm thinking about what it is I want to take. I'll be with you in a second. This stage has been witness and a support to all sorts of strength and energy to make changes. People make tremendous changes in their life because of what they've experienced on this stage. So that I will take out of the river. Because that's what I need to deal with my anxiety about what's going on in Washington, D.C.
Mm-hmm.
Not to get rid of the anxiety, but to get something to help me stay centered so I can do right action. Yeah. So that's another way we've used the stage.
Mm-hmm.
The stage can be anything as big as your imagination, as wide as your imagination. The stage can become.
Anything else?
We use a lot of fabric.
Mm-hmm.
I think in the old days at the Institute they mostly used chairs. We have chairs, we have piles of fabric so that people can create scenes. We use it for teaching. For example, we taught the Hollander curve. Deb Shaddy, who is one of the faculty here, did a wonderful presentation on the Hollander curve, where she actually used the stage. So we use fabric on the ground to represent the warm-up stage, right? The warm-up stage, and then up on the stage for the action stage, and then off the stage for the sharing and integration.
Do you have any fabric right now?
Sure, it's in the other room.
Can we do that?
Sure.
For a moment? Well, I will follow you.
Stay here.
Ah, okay, so you prefer me to stay. Fine. That's right, it can be more dramatic, so everyone waits and she will come to show us. Ah, she comes from another door. It reminds me of Liz White with her scarves.
Our beloved Liz White. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so it was something like this. Yes?
Mm-hmm.
This is just a mock-up of it. I mean, it was,
Yeah.
but I suspect that as many psychodramatists that have worked here, they've used the stage in many, many different ways.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just sort of showing you some of the ways it can be used.
Yeah.
So there's the Hollander curve, isn't it?
Well, not everyone knows what are you talking about.
Okay. So Karl Hollander created this great way to look at a psychodrama. And there's the warm-up stage.
Mm-hmm.
You warm up. There's the presenting problem right around here. What's going on in your life that's troubling you? And then often you'll do past scenes. And here's where the catharsis of that reaction happens.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Or possibly the catharsis of insight. And then you go back to this scene and you do it in a new way. And the original scene, you do it in a new way. And then there's sharing and reintegration into the group.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a way he described a classical psychodrama. And in teaching it so the students actually understand the process of it, this was designed like this. So people could walk it. And they could use, this is where the action takes place. This is the action of the drama.
Mm-hmm.
We've had people use fabric to decorate for scenes.
Actually, there is a video already. I saw somewhere someone coming to the bottom place. There is a video that was done. I think I saw it on the internet. I think that it was on your. I don't know if it was in the website you have.
No, we don't have
the
any
institute.
videos on our website.
No,
Except for the one I showed
there
you.
was another one, because I saw the video of someone, the participants coming, the path, and coming to here.
Sure. Well, and so this can be, you can use it for anything.
Mm-hmm. Really?
Yeah.
Now, what's that? I see something here.
That's a missile.
Mm-hmm.
And that's in
What is this for?
Okay. In Beacon, they used to take the backs of metal chairs and throw them against this wall as a way of expressing anger. We don't have metal chairs. In addition, we have some concerns about their safety. So we use these, we call them missiles. It's just rolled up newspaper with packing tape. And you can stand on the stage and you can go, "Ah!" and nobody gets hurt.
Mm-hmm. How are you feeling?
Energized. If I had done it, usually when someone needs to do this, they're getting really angry and they want to release it. We have a whole bunch of people handing these to them, so they do many, and at the end they're usually pretty tired. And I want to just emphasize that that's not the end of the drama. That's just releasing some anger, so there's some space for figuring out a new way to take the role.
Good. Good. So let's finish the round with that. And, well, anything else about the balcony, or from the balcony, any final message from the balcony?
Often, people think of the balcony as a place to put God.
Mm-hmm.
And God stands up there, right? Or your higher power. But I remember a psychodrama. No, it was a sociodrama, in which people got to play God. One of the people in the group was a Catholic sister.
Was what?
A Catholic sister.
And
she was, all of a sudden she wasn't up there with all the people playing God. And we said, where is she? She's down here, like this, saying, I'm not up there, I'm down here with all of you. That was pretty profound. So ever since then, God doesn't go up there very often. God's usually down with people. Well, it depends on what the protagonist wants, of course. I just think it's evocative. The stage is evocative. And a stimulus for a lot of creativity and spontaneity. You know, I remember once bringing my daughter here when she was about 5. And there was the cloth and there was the stage. And she just, she went and created, right? No director. She could direct herself, which is wonderful. So, yeah, it's a special place. And I feel incredibly fortunate to be able to work on it on a regular basis. And I want to let people know that Boughton Place is a nonprofit. It runs this place. We rent it. You can rent it too. And there are overnight accommodations for, I think, 12 or 14 people.
good. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. So let me finish with this couple there.